Let me invite the panelists on stage. First is Mr. Vijay Wadhwani, Assistant Vice President, Supply Chain Management, Relaxo Footwears. Kunal Gupta. Kunal is Director Supply Chain of Bateel's Global Operations. Deepak Joshi, Head Supply Chain Management, JL Morison. Firoze Hussain from Delhivery. He's Vice President in Delivery. Sanjeev Khanna, VP, Heads Supply Chain Management, Patanjali Ayurved. Finally, we managed to get him on. And I shall moderate the session. As I was saying, Kunal, please join us. We are living in a fast life. We are living a really fast life. Except for our logistics profession, which even today travels at, 4 kilometers, 5 kilometers per hour kind of rates. So everything else is fast. Now, when we're looking at agile fulfillment capabilities across the supply chain, I would like to start probably with Kunal. Primarily because he comes from an economy where infrastructure constraints are not known. Can I then ask you, to be efficient, we need to track metrics. So what metrics do you track to ensure that your fulfillment capabilities or delivery capabilities are up there?
Hi. Just to introduce myself, I'm Kunal from Bateel. I come from food and beverage background. So we have chain of retail outlets. We call ourselves luxury date retailers. I mean, so it's a term that Bateel coined, dates and luxury together. So, but we take pride in that. So I manage the supply chain, and we are a true farm to fork company because we have our own farms in Saudi Arabia. So dates are basically produced, processed, then bought to Dubai, where we have another production facility for our cafes. So we have a footprint of about 28 cafes across Middle East and 62 outlets in 15 countries in retail. So that's just a quick background on Bateel. Now, coming back to the matrix part. I feel the matrix, anything that we measure today has to make sense and has to kind of have a purpose. And I think in last mile delivery, specifically for the topic, the two most important components that we talk about is time and money. I mean, everybody is talking about now, not even same day delivery, now it's 2-hour delivery, 4-hour delivery time. So obviously time is the most important parameter from a customer perspective. So the various amount of time where delivery time, how long it took after the order and so on and so forth. And cost, again, can be broken down into various things. I mean, it could be, your shipping cost per kilometer, your running cost of vehicle, the percentage of your loading efficiency in a vehicle. So there are various parameters which ultimately can be pinned down to either time or cost. So that's pretty much what predominantly are the two main parameters. Of course, customer feedback is literally above all this. So if there is something which has a problem, it could be unrelated to time or cost also sometimes. But then predominantly when it comes to measuring for us, we look at anything that gives us information on time to the customer and the cost to the customer ultimately. That's what we measure.
Oh, that's quite, and yes, at the end of the day, it's the feedback from customer. Vijay, if I were to ask you, you have a vast rural penetration. I think you opened up the rural markets and your growth primarily came from your rural markets. How do you manage that rural last mile? Answer, clock, Twitter response.
Good evening, all of you. My name is Vijay Wadhwani. I am from Relaxo Footwears. We are the Delhi-based company. Today we become the global company and the Asia's largest company by volume and volume. As Dr. Rakesh Singh also mentioned twice, thrice about our achievements and all, and he has also mentioned that tier 2 and tier 3 market, what the development we did. In our this success and the growth rate, maximum, I would mention here the rural market, like the tier 2 and tier 3 market, we have done a lot of work. If I say in our total business of like 2,500 crore business as we are doing today, 30 to 35% business we are getting from the rural markets. That's the big achievement we did. Lot of work we have started from last 2 to 3 years. The thing is very important is in the geographical, if I discuss here about the rural market. See, the thing is only what the strategy we are adopting for our this metro cities and all. When we go for the rural market, we have to change our strategy. We cannot work with the same strategy for the rural market also. We have to study about the market. We have to first understand about the market, what the market is, what the consumer behavior for the rural market is, that we have to understand first. And then we plan our strategy according to the need of the market. As in our this practice, what we were doing earlier, first we have started our thinking ki what kind of customer we are dealing, and what the distance. The big challenge we had, actually we are dealing with high volume, low cost product. The advantage was for the rural market, we can get advantage because our products are the low cost product. And rural there's a lot of potentiality is there to achieve. But we had to reach there. Our total business, our all factory, all setup is in North India and mainly in around Delhi. And we have to send our goods, our potentiality. If you see the rural market, eastern, western, here and there, like northeast, North Lakhimpur kind of market, Orissa, Bihar, Jharkhand, we have to reach, send our product in those all states. The first action we have taken here, first we decided like the product, below 500, we should focus on the low cost product first. And what the packing they require, that also we have to see, and plus how to send the goods. If we send our low cost product from Delhi, direct from Delhi, transportation from Delhi to that places, it will take 10 days, 15 days, they cannot wait. Because local players are also always there. In the rural market, more than 90% business are in the unorganized sectors. So we have to capture the market from unorganized sector to the organized, like we have to capture the market. So first, in first step, we have started open our regional distribution center. We have opened the warehouses there. And after the operation of the warehouse system, then we have started dealing with the transporter. Even we have taken the local players also to reach, to send our goods to the right rural markets. And the most important is also there ki there's a language problem is also there. We have recruited our manpower according to the rural, even local manpower we have hired, and we have given the good training to them who can handle the local customer easily. Plus we have started, like today you see in our 800 distributor, 500 distributors are from the rural market only. So what we have started here, we have checked and we have our effective distribution network we have developed. And after the development of distribution network, timely delivery we have started, and we got the business from the rural market. So this is we did.
Thank you, thank you. Interesting, interesting. Deepak, if I were to come back to you and ask, one of the major problems when we look at distribution and sending goods out is that inefficient routes are a cause of loss to a lot of the leakages when it comes to cost, increase in cost, reduction in efficiency, etc. How do you ensure that you can minimize these leakages? I don't like the word optimize because I do not know what I'm asking you. How do I manage this to reduce the kind of inefficiencies I have in improper route planning then?
I represent JL Morison company, and this company has got two different business diversion. One is in FMCG channel, another is retail, which is we have our own e-commerce sites, as well as we also manage with other B2B channels and B2C customers, which is like Amazon or Flipkart or FirstCry. The business model what we have in one of the section is called baby care segment, and it is in the space of convenience. How convenience we can offer to a newborn child from 0 to 12 months maybe. And the biggest challenge we come across is that there is no counter data or research. So most of things there is a very clear like a demand variability is coming in. Now this demand variability also complex with the route mapping. Now, both the things we need to manage efficiently. So what we do specifically, we have put first thing in terms of technological upgradations, number one. So we as being a part of 1,000 crore group company, we invested in terms of SAP. We customize in terms of e-commerce, in terms of getting a consumer orders. So we get all the consumer orders in a day in the morning, and we plan by 11 o'clock all the route mapping in by the systems, because we get almost around 10,000 orders, and we need to plan it based on the pin code, the route mapping. Since we are basically a product-based company, we expect a service from our logistics partner. So we have identified a particular logistic partner who can able to deliver a maximum pin codes to all our customers. We basically, being a product company, we need to enhance customer experience. So that customer experience is the last leg, which is we look forward for based on who can able to give us the best logistic transportation network. So one part in this route planning, we define that which route, which depot has to go into that, and that all orders are getting packed by 4 o'clock. The respective transportation management we choose who are the best fit for that, and that's where we able to arrest some kind of either delay or a leakages in the system.
Thank you. Interesting. Technology does play a major role there. Sanjeev, sir, if I would pick up with you, you are in a different space. You're one of the business disruptors, unlike the technology disruptors. However, we are in the age of the impatient customer. All of us want everything to be done over quickly with, and even I would like to, because in the evening it's a nice session. What can be done differently to keep the customer engaged when he is waiting for his delivery?
Okay, so to answer this, basically, I won't go with my current portfolio in Patanjali, because there either we reach before customer asks for it, or we don't reach. Okay, so that's a different issue. I mean, that's a different problem. If I talk of only the last mile delivery, basically I will like to look at it that there are three challenges. One is the typical logistic operational challenges which we all experience, whether you get the right vendor or
it's
not.
not just the last, it's entire fulfillment capability.
Yeah, so correct. So it is complete, and it is only getting reflected there. Yes. So basically, unless you are efficient all along in your supply chain planning and production and everywhere, so you will face the blunt here. But if we talk for this distribution part of it, now there will be three challenges primarily. One is your typical logistic challenge, that whether you have the right partners, whether they have the right capabilities, whether you have defined the right KPIs. So that is one piece. Second is the administrative or the legal challenge, that in particularly in the e-commerce setup, when you have to deliver, you need to see whether only like in Delhi, only the CNG vehicles will ply, only the eco will ply. They won't allow round the clock, bigger vehicles to go. So those kind of challenges. And the third is the seasonal challenges, which again maybe best experienced in the northern region, which is almost 40% market for any industry. What happens that in the winters, when you don't have a 100-meter visibility, how do you deliver to the customer in 2 minutes or 2 hours? When there are 6 hours of traffic jams, whether in Bangalore or in Delhi or maybe even in Mumbai. So how do you do that? So these are the three different challenges. And now to the extent that first part is concerned, operationally, I think you are getting more and more competent partners to work with who are able to deliver it on time and who are able to support that. And in a company like Big Basket, which was my previous assignment, over 99% on-time deliveries we had been ensuring across. So it is possible. And that was when, like Flipkart or Amazon, we were not making commitment for the day. We were making commitment for the slot, that within this 2.5 hours you will get. And we were able to do that. So it's practically possible, and people are there who are willing to support you, whether by way of supporting in technology or even from the infrastructure perspective. The second is, again, it's beyond anyone's control as of today. administrative, I mean, if the CNG vehicles only are allowed, or if only this vehicle is allowed, or in the malls, these are the timings, or in the apartment, these are the timings. For the last mile, again, it becomes a big issue. And the third one is the seasonal factor, which is beyond anyone's control. So what is happening currently is that whatever commitments we are making, if at all we fail anywhere, it is only at that stage when the seasonal factors influence. The rest of the things you can plan and play.
Quite interesting. Firoze, if I were to pick up with you, how easy is it for you to scale delivery capabilities in India? Because you don't need the same capabilities throughout the year. And what do you see are the solutions to that? We all know the challenges.
Sure. I'm Firoze from Delhivery. Yes, the big billion days is always a big challenge. Let me come back to that later. I'll give you a brief on the e-commerce developments which have been happening. I think all of us are a part of it. Today, all of us know that we can order an iPhone 10 almost the day it was released globally, and you could have got it in Ara in Bihar or Balia in UP or Zero in Arunachal Pradesh just within maximum 1 or 2 days of the global launch itself. Now, this is something which is really different. I mean, the kind of supply chain which is coming in is really disrupting the whole thing, because you are catering to the demands of not just tier 1, tier 2. I mean, we're going far beyond that. Today, we are present in 15,000 pin codes from where, I mean, we deliver for whether it is Amazon, Flipkart, Paytm, and there's another 7,000 clients or people who have, anybody who can set up a website and he can start a delivery service with a logistics provider. So we are basically a 3PL logistics company which came into being a few years back. I mean, we consider ourselves still a startup. That's the way we like it, because we believe that every day we should consider it as day one itself. Because whatever we do for this Diwali and in order to scale up and things like that, so if I were to tell some of those things, believe me, the next Diwali, there's no way we could do it with the same set of solutions. So just after every Diwali, we have a session so that, okay, the next year, how are we going to do it? And we know for a fact that the solutions developed earlier will never work again. So you've got to again start from a slate zero and then take it forward. Of course, for a peak demand supply, especially during see, if you see China, typically in the singles day did about $40 billion of sales, which is huge. India, during the whole month, did about less than $5 billion. Now, so imagine the kind of potential that is available, first of all, that there's a huge potential available as far as e-commerce sales is concerned for India, whether it is logistics players or whether it is OEM providers and things like that. Because there is a definite trend of people and they want to buy in that manner. The traditional method of going to a shop and buying is probably will long be gone. So this is how we've configured ourselves, especially for peak times where we suddenly have a surge, and you still have to keep your costs down because you can't be recruiting so many people for the surge, because the surge is like a few 4-5 times of the normal. So what you do, you align with all your vendor partners, whether it is the guarding services, whether it is the crowdsourcing team. So we have a number of teams which we activate, and we plan it out much before in advance, so that during that period, what we do, city by city, we keep changing our rates. So like if we realize that in Orissa, in Bhubaneswar, we are not getting people to deliver, so we change the rate of delivery which we pay, because we've already committed to Amazon that we will be delivering these items in the following cycle time. So then we dynamically keep changing the rates. So our vendors keep knowing, okay, they are ready, or the people who are delivering keep knowing that, okay, this is the rate we are getting, and so then more people come on board. So that's a kind of tech portfolio which we've developed, and it's totally in-house. because India is a totally different e-commerce market. I mean, we collect something like 40 crores of cash, hard cash every day, which has to be deposited, etc. There's a 30% or 20% RTO rate, which is a return of products. There is something like 5% reverse pickup rate. So this is very different from the traditional US and European e-commerce market.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Surge pricing comes into logistics also. Good. Uber is teaching us. Kunal, if I were to come back to you, what will define or the supply chain of the future?
Specific to last night.
Specific.
Yeah, I think we've been actually getting a lot of good feedback from a lot of people for the future of supply chain. So I'll not repeat the same things, to be honest. But yes, I very strongly believe that technology will play a very, very strong role. I mean, the whole crowdsourcing model that's happening today has made it possible because of what we are doing, and like my friend here mentioned that, you know, this is a huge potential. So you can't, one individual cannot do it on its own. Basically, you will have to collaborate. That's the keyword. And then I still feel with technology, there has to be also like expectation management that has to be done from the customer point of view. I mean, just a few years back, we used to only manage OTIF, you know, on time in full. That was the only parameter till about a few years back. These days, the customer wants on time in full, and then there is new term they've added is NENC, which is no error and no contact. So the customers want everything on time, without error. They don't want to call anybody. They don't want to receive a call. I mean, eventually they even want wherever they are, it doesn't matter. You find out where I am and give it to me. You know, so these are the expectations which are going. Of course, it's going to be a huge role of robotics that will come into future, because even the volumes to manage and in that time frame, I think humanly is not going to be possible. So there has to be, on e-commerce specifically, order comes, a robo or a drone will pick up that order. It'll be a humanless vehicle going and delivering to your footstep. That's what I feel is going to be the main thing. And I'd kind of reinstate what Paul mentioned earlier in the morning for his presentation, and I'm a very firm believer. Singularity is the key word. All of this have to come together and work. You know, you cannot have any of this working in isolation. That's what I very strongly feel.
That is the key, the convergence of technology, humans,
Absolutely.
and understanding of human psychology.
Exactly.
Deepak, if I were to pick up with you, one of the problems that we now see is that since you also have an online function, e-commerce function, things need to be picked, packed, and shoved out of the warehouse in the quickest possible time. And this is again with its peaks and troughs. How do you manage inventory here?
It's, I think, most of the people, the same challenges across the different industry. But of course, what we did that, we differentiated the supply and inventory tactics. And that we merged with demand. Now this demand has got a different variability. So what we did the inventory profiling. Now this inventory profiling considering the demand, because as I said in earlier question, that we don't have a particular market research and we are directly depending upon the consumer what he's picking. So one of the optics was looking at the past data, collaborating with our customers. Second, we having our own e-commerce, we know what our customers, and we interact with our customers to getting understanding the need of the product or his requirement. One of the good advantage we have that when the customers comes in at the 0 age of kids, we know what is required, 3 months, what is required, in 6 months and what is required. So that gives a certain kind of a demand expectation of the products. Second point comes into that, how do we look at it in terms of giving product availability. Now this availability is we are doing it through inventory profiling. So we have adopted a different innovations, which is more of small innovations we do. We have identified all our products with respect to in terms of their gross margins. And we categorize them into ABC, looking at the demand variation. If there is a low demand variation, we apply different supply chain tactics where we look at our supply chain network optimization, or in case of the low gross margin products, we need to see that my supply chain cost as low as possible. And in case of demands are high, we manage our supply chain management. Of course, if there is a demand variation very high, is as very clear, we have to orchestrate our magical hat and try to get the product into our depot as availability. So these are the different tactics we use right now. It is a continuous learning process. We keep learn, we keep adapt, and try to find a figure based on that. And for that, being we are a SAP-oriented organization, that helps us in terms of data mining and data crunching. So that's where we do that.
Good. Khanna sir, if I were to come back to you and again speak from the rural point of view, one of the things that define agility is information. How do you get information from this vast rural markets?
You're talking in terms of the delivery efficiencies, or you're talking the customer base?
Customer
the demand,
base, yeah,
the
demand.
demand piece. The demand
Because
piece,
that drives your agility.
true. So as far as the demand piece is concerned, how do we capture that data is, basically it is through the market survey and study only. And there are such agencies available who study from the market perspective and tell you the kind of customer base for our product portfolio, which is the herbal and the Ayurvedic and the traditional product commodities. So from that perspective, now we know, and actually that is being used by almost all the FMCG companies, whether HUL, ITC, etc., everyone. And it is to know that for this particular segment, what is the demand out there, and accordingly we keep developing those products. And that helps both in developing the new products as well as in ensuring that how much demand is there to cater to.
Vijay, if I had to come back to you with a similar question, what defines the rural markets for India is it's a black box. Including HUL, they do not know what's happening beyond their super stockist or stockist level. How do you ensure visibility so that you know what's happening out there? Because your success depends on that.
When we are talking about the rural market, that means we are talking for the population, market for the population of the 70%, 65 to 70% of population. We are talking for the market of 6 lakhs plus villages. And the market of the 50% of the buying, 50% spending is from those market only. So we have to understand the market and the consumer first, what the consumer is. In our plan, in our study, to get the information, because we are in dark, we know about the metro cities and the urban markets, and we don't know the actual demand of the rural market, what the demand will come, how will come, like that. We first have in our planning, start from the annual operating plan. We have planned separately for what the market potentiality is there. Even I'm talking about the footwear. As I told you, 90% business of the business is with unorganized sector. Just only 10% business is from the organized sector. So the 15,000 crore rupees market is in our front of us. We have to capture this 15,000 crore market. So first we have planned in our annual operating plan for our strategy, how to do the marketing. That one. Second is then in our forecasting also we have started doing forecasting, separate forecasting for this rural market. So as I told, we have the RDCs state-wise for the distant states. Further for RDCs, we have started, first we are listed out all the 2-tier and 3-tier cities, and we have started each and every district we have one stockist there. We have appointed the stockist and direct coordination with the stockist, what the demand is coming, what the actual. We have first given the inventory of A and B class top SKUs of the rural market, and we have started focusing the actual demand, what the demand is, what the stock level is there. We have started monitoring their inventory first, and according to this, we have discussed with all factory people to keep this inventory ready for them. And similarly, we have planned for the transportation also. Whatever demand is coming from the market should immediately deliver to them. So as soon as we have started this, suddenly our sales of the rural market gone up and we have got our targets.
Thanks, Vijay. Firoze, if I were to come back to you, the one question that I would like to ask you, and then you are at the receiving end of all these gentlemen here who are more from the user side of it. 95% of your negotiation time is spent on cost. 5% is on what you should be doing. In that scenario, what is it that you would like to propose to the users to take the focus away from cost and make it on value?
See, I mean, as far as e-commerce, if you have to, the most important thing, if a person has to decide whether he wants to order on Amazon or Flipkart or Paytm or just any other site. I mean, that's the thing. All the 3 or the 4 people, if they're selling iPhone 10. So the price is almost, it could be, 500 rupees or 1,000 rupees here and there. But you still find that there are certain sets of people who would just click on one website, despite the product being absolutely the same, because the warranty is, everything is by all the service. If it's a Xiaomi TV or a Godrej fridge or a Bosch washing machine, I mean, everything else, the servicing, installation, commissioning, the warranty is by the OEM. So why would the person choose a particular site to click? Now, there's 3-4 things which really matters. Is one, first of all, that whether you will be able to deliver to that pin code. Because there's a lot of people who claim that they can deliver to so many pin codes, and finally they reach the place and find that, okay, you are in Nagpur, but Nagpur is 30 kilometers. It's a long city, it's a huge place. So if you were to send the fridge from one end to the other end, it will never work out with just one item in the whole truck. So that's one part. The next is the convenience of the person to pay. Now, there are certain sets of people who are very comfortable, maybe the 0.1% of us who are income tax payees or the salaried class as the government calls it, which is a very small percentage, the income tax payees, who pay by prepaid cards or credit cards or Paytm. The rest do not want to do it. See, 70% of India still wants to pay using cash. For 2 reasons. I mean, one could be the as far as the knowledge also. There's a lot of people, even my dad still, he says, nahin beta, main cash hi de dunga. I don't want to give, my card, because something goes wrong, it will become an absolute issue for me to call the helpline number, get back. So then you should be able to offer that service. So that's again, in the type of choice of his, whether it's a credit card, debit card, Paytm, or there's so many wallets again, and of course cash, which is still 70% of India's market. The other is the mere, the psychology of the user, because the way how the value proposition comes in is now like Alibaba, the way they're doing it, they give you the choice to the user to choose the forwarder. So the user, while clicking it, can decide, if he wishes, that this goods should be delivered by so-and-so logistics partner. So the next thing is your experience and your psychological comfort as to, because you are ordering items, some of them could be food items, some of them could be costly items, some of them could be fragile, and all that is coming in just a yellow flyer, which you do not know at all what is there inside. So what we've done, we've invested very heavily into automatic sorting solutions. We have about 20 automatic sorting solutions in different cities of India, which are like our super gateways, pickup points for any of the clients. We've also installed, considering India, which is a very different market from US and Europe, X-ray machines along with the sorting machines, so that whatever is of a certain value, we X-ray it. So we are one of the preferred people, especially for the jewelry people, like the gold coins and the gold chains and things like that. Because the first thing we do is we X-ray it. And then we say to the OEM, okay, we've already X-rayed it, so now if anything goes wrong with it, that's our responsibility. as long as the X-ray is not done. So we really don't know, because there are so many suppliers and sellers today on the e-commerce market portals that unless some vetting is done both ways, I mean, both of the logistics supplier and the OEM has to understand each other as to how each of them is doing the checking. And that's where the end consumer gets satisfied that, okay, I have got a product which has been checked and certified. It gives a little bit of satisfaction.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. We have 1 minute left. I think we are just on time. Anyone from the audience wants to raise any question to any of the panel members? Yeah.
My question is to Deepak specifically. You're talking about data analytics, and do you do any kind of predictive analytics by segment for the upcoming babies not born till now, something like that?
We have not reached as of now that stage of predicting that, the Indian population at what stage. We are not still reached to the nursings or doctors, but we have done a different route that as and when then there is any newborn is happening, so we give a gifting. The newborn baby and mother, we give a gift back on them. So that's where the engagement is happening with them. Definitely in terms of predictive analysis, we are not yet ready, because we are still doing it all baby steps. So we have done in terms of technological era, we have gone up to the stockies. So we have gone up to the stocky, we have implemented online, on time. So we know what is the distributor or stockist is holding, and then back end entire planning. So first we would like to get this chain get matured so that we can move to the next level on this. So as of now, we are not.
Thank you. I think that should kind of end it. I would request Kalpesh to do the honors by presenting a memento to our distinguished panel. Yeah. Vijay Wadhwani. Thank you, sir. Kunal Gupta. Deepak Joshi. Firoze. And Sanjeev Khanna. For the mandatory quick photograph, sir.